All right, so it is 9:30. So let's get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Melissa Rubel, and I'm an engineer with Kipcon, and I'll be giving this morning's presentation on how to read blueprints. So we're going to talk about how to find information on what's called blueprints, why we even have them in the first place, how they're laid out, and what kind of information you can expect to find on them. So oftentimes blueprints can be referred to with a more modern term as design drawings. Historically, they're called blueprints, and I still use the word blueprint from time to time because it refers historically to how drawings were reproduced. Drawings were historically drawn with ink on vellum. I actually started as a draftsperson several decades ago, drafting with ink on a plastic vellum that was then converted into blueprints by running that see-through drawing, if you will, over a photoreactive paper or chemically reactive paper through a diazo printer. Everything stunk like ammonia in the office from it, but that's how we reproduce drawings. So years ago, drawings look more like what you see here in this historic ship layout drawing, where the background is largely blue and the detailed information is in a lighter blue or a white. These drawings would fade over time, and eventually you couldn't even read them anymore. In the days that we were running diazo prints, when I first started as a draftsperson, it was reversed. It was a light background with blue lines, but the same thing would happen over time, just from photo exposure. The drawings would fade and they would become harder and harder to read. So today, with modern plotters and printers, it's more has more of an extended life, but it's always good to have backups of any drawings that you have in electronic form. So it's the paper large drawings serve their purpose, and the electronic versions serve their purpose. But historically, that's why we call them blueprints, because when they were reproduced, they had either a blue background or a blue line on them, as you see in the drawing below. So why do we even have blueprints? What's the purpose of them? So blueprints are part of a larger set of documents that communicate information to a contractor on how to construct a project. So blueprints are part of that. So the drawings are meant to communicate with the contractor spatially how to build something, what materials to use, and that larger package that they go along with might be some written specifications, such as a project manual. Maybe there are shop drawings that need to be included that are generally used when there is something more of a more detailed nature that is beyond the set of blueprints that the contractor is working with. For example, there may be, say, an exterior metal stairway that needs to be fabricated, or there is a manufacturer product that needs the manufacturer's shop drawings to give more detail on those. And also part of the whole package that the contractor works with is of course the contract between the owner and the contractor. So blueprints are a part of those documents. So today we're going to be focusing in on blueprints and just that specific part of the bid package and how to navigate them. So what kind of information do blueprints convey? So overall, they convey the standard by which the design in the blueprint is shown. So it might be a building code. Building codes change over time, as you know. So when a designer is designing something new or an addition or a change to something, it needs to be based on the most current building code. And that information is shown, we'll find out where, on the design plans or the blueprints. Blueprints are also meant to convey the size of something or the dimensions of something that's being built. the materials that need to be used and how they need to be assembled. So we'll talk about how to navigate through the blueprints and to find the information that we might be looking for. So from beginning to end, the set of blueprints that define a project are just generally more and more detailed as you get further and further into the set. So it begins with a title page, or it's often called a cover sheet, that conveys some general information. And we'll look at the cover sheet and what kind of information you might be able to find there, and how that cover sheet helps you navigate the rest of the drawings. Also included in a set of design drawings are what might be civil drawings, which have largely to do with site work, with roadways, sidewalks, stormwater management facilities, utilities, things to that nature that are outside of the building. Then there are architectural drawings that often incorporate structural, mechanical, electrical, and oftentimes plumbing drawings that detail how the building is to be constructed and the way it's to be assembled and what materials to use. And also included in a design set are details, which are show very, very specific information. And the detail sheets may be in the form of construction details in the case of civil plans, or architectural details that show us very specifically how an area of the building needs to be assembled. So we're going to look at some examples. The examples we're going to use are going to be relevant to community associations and the type of projects that they can do. Can everyone hear me okay? Somebody's saying there's no sound. Okay, it's some other people are saying they can hear me. Thank you. You can comment in the chat if you're having trouble hearing. So as I was saying, what we're going to look at are going to be projects that are more specific to community associations and not large municipal projects or industrial or commercial projects. So those projects are typically roofing, siding, paving, decks, sometimes concrete work. Sometimes it has to do more with site work, such as retaining walls. These are items that are common to community associations. So, as I mentioned, the title page or the cover page is meant to be a general overview of what is contained in the construction documents. So there are several ways this sheet helps you to navigate through. Number one is the title block. There's always a title block in the lower left-hand corner of each of the sheets in the plan set. And it tells us where the project is located, the project name. A company often will assign a project number to a project, and when the plans were initially issued. So oftentimes a plan set will be issued, but there might be changes along the way during client review, or in some cases, if a municipality has to review a set, there may be further sets issued. And they'll be documented in those horizontal boxes you see above the title block. Also, there is typically a drawing list on the cover sheet. And if you recall, I said there is a cover sheet, there are the design drawings, and then there are the details. So these will tell you what sheets you can find those specific types of plans on. And then you'll notice also in the title block below, in the area you see T1 there, that's the sheet number. So the title block will often have a large indication of what the sheet number is. And then on the drawing list, if you notice on the left-hand side of the drawing list, it gives you those sheet numbers. And then on the right side, it gives you the name of the plan that you're looking for. Another component of a title sheet are the general notes. General notes will tell you what the standard of design is in the drawing that you are, in the drawing set that you're looking at. So in the case of a building, in this case, this is a roofing and siding project. So you'll see the building codes upon which the design of that roof replacement is dependent. In the case of a site work project or a road replacement project, it'll likely refer to Department of Transportation standards. So whatever the applicable design criteria is for a project, this is likely where you'll find that is in the general notes on the cover sheet. So some specifications require a submission to a municipality or to the building official. In the case of a roof and siding project, there are permits that need to be pulled. So a set of plans that's signed by the professional engineer responsible for designing the design of the project will sign in this title block here, and the plans will get submitted to the municipality. In some cases, there are some types of specifications that don't require permits to be pulled or any kind of municipal approval, in which case this block will often be left blank, and it'll simply say something like bid issue or something like that. So it gets issued, these plans get issued as part of a larger bid package directly to the contractor without any kind of municipal approvals. And so in that case, you wouldn't see a engineer's signature here. But again, if there's permits that need to be pulled or municipal approvals, this is where you'll see the signing engineer for the project. So as I mentioned, sometimes a project gets submitted to the municipality for review or to the building code official, and they may have comments, or in the case of where a municipal review is not required, there may be some changes that the client may request after the bid package is issued. So this area here where revisions are noted is where you will see the number of they're numbered consecutively, 1, 2, 3 typically, and then there's a place for a description. Why was the revision made? It may say per municipal comments, it may say per client comments, it may say something more specific like alterations to fence details or something to that nature. And then the date of the revision and who made the revision internally, who designed that revision. Also included, again, typically on the cover sheet, it may be elsewhere in the plan set, but oftentimes more often than not, I should say, you will see them on the cover sheet, or are general notes specific to the work. So it may comment on the qualifications of the contractor. What type of contractor is qualified to construct what is shown in the design plans? It might be in the case of, say, masonry work, that they need to be a mason who's licensed in the state of New Jersey with an active license at the time that they do the work. Or, you know, for different types of projects, it may give specifics on what the qualifications of that contractor need to be and what kind of licenses they need to have in place to do the work. It also includes notes on where some information in the plan set may have come from. Say, for example, for site work, there's topography, there's a survey that was used as the basis. You would know who prepared that survey here, or maybe there were soil borings performed or something to that nature. So you would indicate here what the basis of the design is. Also rules, if you will, or requirements in regard to execution of the work. Where can the contractor keep materials on site, or what are the requirements for the contractor cleaning the site each day, or who should they notify when they are on site, or who should they call prior to starting the work? such as there's New Jersey One Call that marks out utilities. They come in, they require 78 hours notice. I'm sorry, 72 hours notice to come in and mark out the locations of utilities prior to the contractor digging in the ground. That might be noted here in the general notes on the cover sheet. So let's talk about how to navigate the larger set of blueprint drawings. Again, here are some examples of the type of design drawings that a community association might be working with. So the first couple sheets of the design drawing are typically a general overview of what's being presented in the design set. So this is the case of a paving project. It's showing the entire site. This particular project was a phased paving project. So it begins with a very large bird's eye view of the site, and it's showing the graphically how the project is broken into phases over time. And each one of these phases was slated to be done in consecutive years. And you'll notice there's a couple of things. There's a north arrow that shows which direction obviously is north. And there is also a graphical scale. So drawings are obviously much smaller representations of what's in the field, and on civil plans or site work plans, they'll give a scale in 1 inch equals so many feet, and depending upon the size of the site or what the area of earth that you're trying to represent, that those scales can be 1 inch equals 10 feet, 50 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet. So those are the scales for site work. For architectural work, they're often given in portions of an inch relative to a foot, because obviously buildings are much smaller than sites. So the scale is slightly different, but it is some sort of graphical representation at scale of what is shown on the plan set. Oftentimes on a layout plan, there's some sort of legend telling you what each symbol might mean. This one is very simple. It's just simply a phasing layout plan, so it shows you the 3 phases. But other types of information that might be provided on site plans are a symbol for where the catch basins are, or where the sanitary manholes are, or where the water line is, where curbing is, where different types of utilities are, electric or overhead lines. So the legend could have several different items on it that show where those items are in the overall layout. This layout is for a roofing project, so it deals with buildings, and it again is a broad overview of where the buildings lie on the site. And in this particular case, there are 3 different types of roof layouts, building layouts, and that correspond to different roof layouts for the project. And there's a table up in the top. This particular drawing does have a legend, but it also has information specific to each building and where each of those buildings is located. So we're going to look at how the set of design drawings is broken up so you can locate the information you're looking for. So we're going to look at the example of this particular building here. This is what's called an isometric view, where you can, it's kind of like if you were floating in space off the corner of the building, and you could see several planes of the building. Blueprint plans are typically not an isometric view like this, but in flat plane view of the paper. So here's an example of a plan view. So this is in our roofing example here, where here is the overview of the whole site. This is the plan view of 2 of the types of the roofs that are shown. There were 3 types in our particular example. This one shows 2 of them. There's probably another one on another sheet. But if you look, it shows the typical layout of the roof and where the slopes are, and perhaps some mechanicals where they come through the roof. You'll also notice these sort of bubbles here with a line through portions of the building. We're going to talk about those and what kind of information they will provide. They are links to where to look elsewhere in the blueprint set for details on those portions of the building and how to construct them. So you see here, there's not very much information given. So it's still kind of a broad overview, but it's showing you the layout of the different types of roofs and where to find information if you're looking for something more detailed. So here's an even more detailed view. So this is a floor plan. So this is a roof plan. This is if you were floating above the building and looking straight down on the building. Floor plans provide a layout of what it would look like if you're floating above that building, looking straight down on it, but being able to see the layout of the floors on a particular floor. For this particular building, there's one floor. So the front of the building usually you can find by looking for an entrance, an entry, and in this case, the foyer gives you the entry foyer gives you a clue that's the front of the building here. And obviously the other side is the rear of the building. But the orientation for buildings on plan views usually to have the front of the building it situated on the paper that in a way that you're almost like walking into the building. So the front of the building is usually shown at the bottom of the page. Because of the layout of this particular unit, it was easier to fit it on the plan sheet by showing the entrance to the right. So sometimes you have to look to see where the front of the building is being portrayed. So the floor plan shows us information such as where each room is located, the dimensions. You see there's overall dimensions for the outside of the building and room dimensions for the inside of the building. Also, you'll notice those same sort of bubble areas, that those call outs that refer you to other portions of the plan set for more detail. For example, we see just by the garage in the rear of the building here, there's a call out that's showing that there is a detail elsewhere in this plan set for the construction of this wall by the mudroom. There are other call outs on this plan here, probably for a section through this front wall area. And also there's a detail here for this wall by the study in the powder room. So if you wanted to see more details on the layout of those, that's where you would look. So some floor plans, if it's the bottommost floor, oftentimes if it's a slab constructed house without a basement, you'll find it on the first floor plan. Or if a unit has a basement in it, there might be a basement plan that will show the location of the footings beneath the building. So in this case, you can see the outside wall of the building, and then those areas outside of the foundation wall show the dimensions of the spread footing that would be beneath those walls and what the dimensions are. You'll also notice again these call outs on the plan that show these numbers on them. You'll see at the top of the circle a 2 and at the bottom A42. So you'll recall our sheet numbers from the title sheet page. So what these call outs are telling you, if you want to see more detail through those sections of the foundation, you would look at detail 2 on sheet A4.2. So that's how the call out refers to other sections of the drawing. So as I mentioned, this again, here's one of the isometric views. Sometimes plans have a little view like this. Oftentimes they do not, and the building is represented as if you were floating directly above it or standing directly beside the front, rear, or side views and looking directly at it. So again, with our example that we just looked at the floor plan for, you could see that there are 2 floors here. So there would be 2 floor plans and a basement plan. You see a basement plan. So if you were looking at the architectural set of this for this particular unit, you would have probably a roof plan, a basement plan, a first floor plan, and a second floor plan. So aside from the plan view, there are also elevation views. And again, as I mentioned, if you look at our building here, there's a left side elevation, a right side, and a front and a rear elevation. So imagine yourself standing directly across from one of the sides of the building and looking straight on at the side of the building. So that's how these are graphically represented. In this particular building, it's telling the detail is telling you that this is the right side elevation of in detail 2 here of what we saw in the plan view. So if you'll recall, let's see if I can find it here. Oh, no, it's a different plan. But so oftentimes on the plan view, there'll be one of those detail call outs that says, look at detail 2 on sheet A4 for the right side elevation. So you would go to our sheet A4 we have here. You see there's detail 1, detail 2. Detail 1 is showing you the front elevation of the building. Detail 2 is showing you the side elevation that you might be looking for. So you're looking straight on at the building. And if you notice, this is showing you even more detail than either the cover sheet, the layout plan, or the plan view would show. So the elevation view is showing you more detail in regard to what types of building materials are on the building, or where the gutters might be located, or what the slope of the roof might be. So here's an example of the front elevation. You see our example of our isometric view on the left here. And you're looking, if you're standing directly in front of the building and looking directly at this building, this is what the front elevation would look like. So the information that it provides, it's showing you that there is perhaps vinyl siding on this building. It's showing you where the roof shingles are. It's showing you that that front gable section has a roof slope of a 10-inch rise over horizontal 12-inch run. And there could be different numbers depending upon what the roof slope is, but that's what those numbers mean, and it tells the contractor at what slope that roof needs to be constructed. Other information that the elevation gives us is elevations above grade of, say, the top of the foundation, or the elevation of the first floor and the second floor, and so forth. And so it gives us an idea of how far above ground, or what the height of that building is. Oh, so I have to give you the key word of the day. The key word today is solstice, because today is actually the summer solstice. It's actually going to be 11:57 a.m. this morning. So we're still technically in springtime for another hour, almost exactly another hour. So the key word today is solstice. Okay, so moving on. So here's our plan view again. And here is one of those call outs for the detailed call outs that is shown in red here. So this particular call out is telling you that you could see the length that red line cuts all the way through the building. So it tells you that if you go to detail 1 on sheet A 3.0, that you're going to see a detailed section through the building. And as I mentioned, as you progress through the blueprints, the plan set, that you come upon more and more detailed information. So you're looking at this, say you're looking at this floor plan in the plan set, and you would really like some more information on how the building is spatially arranged. So oh, I see this section. Yeah, the line, it traverses the entire building, the floor plan. So it indicates the location of a section through the building. So again, here's our isometric view. You wouldn't typically see this type of view in a plan set, but it's showing you what if you were to take that building and cut it open along that line, and look inside, this is actually where that line falls within the building. So you're going to be able to see inside the building, if you will, and what those dimensions are. Now, here's what it looks like in the plan set. So you'll see that it's, if you take that building and stand it up on end and cut a section through it, this is what you're going to see. Now you'll notice that you see the names of the different rooms and where they are situated. You'll also notice at the right-hand side, there are those elevations again above grade. So it's going to give you an idea of the height of your basement, your first floor, your second floor, and so on, because it gives you the elevation you can see of the basement floor, and then the bottom, say, of the basement joists. So the floor, it gives you the elevations of the floor assembly, the underneath of that floor, which we oftentimes will call the ceiling, or and then the floor elevation above that. So the elevation of the top of the floor is generally to the top of the subfloor. So that's minus any kind of carpeting or floor finishes that you might be putting in. But you can tell how high the rooms are in each of the floors. So an even more detailed section, another type of section through the building that we might find are wall sections. So there's sections that are through the entire building, as we've seen, and then there are some call outs that show us specific wall areas. So in the case of exterior walls, this is often the case. You will usually find wall sections in an architectural set. And again, in our progression of more and more detailed information, these wall sections, these individual wall sections, will give us more information on how the entire wall assembly is constructed, from the foundation to the roof. Sometimes they're shown in separate sections, roof sections and foundation sections. This particular detail shows the entire height of the wall. This particular detail is for a stucco exterior wall on masonry. So this particular detail shows the masonry block, how it sits on the foundation. It shows that our foundation is reinforced. It will call out some materials that are used in the facade. And this one also has some material information about the inside of the wall, the interior of the wall assembly. And it will give us a general overview of where these materials are situated. It'll show how materials are layered. For example, sometimes you might have some wood frame construction, and over top of on the exterior, there's sheathing, and then there's building paper, and then there might be vinyl siding or a stone veneer siding. And these wall sections are where you would look to see how those materials should be layered and where they are in orientation to each other. So again, here are those isometric views that show what we might see if we're standing next to a building and we could see inside of it. And then on the left, it's shown how it's actually represented in the blueprint drawing. So you see it's more of a two-dimensional representation, but that the information for the contractor on how to construct what you see on the right-hand side is there in those blueprint details. So as we become more and more refined in our information in the plan set, we have looked at title sheet is very general, overview of the site, orienting us to where we are on the site and maybe different types of phasing or different building types, onto more detailed information that has to do with the plan views, whether it's the roof or the floor, the basement, and then details on building sections, sections through entire buildings or wall sections, and then even more detailed information can be found in the project details. And again, just like we saw call outs in the plan view to different wall sections and different sections through the buildings, there are also references in the drawings to these finer details on how to construct and assemble things. This particular detail sheet is for a paving project. So these top three details here are what to do when different pavement conditions are encountered. So when a pavement project is performed, generally what typically happens is the contractor comes in and mills off the top 2 inches of asphalt and makes any repairs to the base course and puts down new asphalt, a new overlay. Sometimes there may be portions of the pavement that are in such poor condition that they need to do a full depth replacement. So you'll see in detail 1 here gives the contractor instructions on what to do if that condition is encountered. If the pavement needs to be completely removed down to the subsoil because it's in such poor condition, it tells the contractor in detail how to reconstruct that and what materials and depths to use. Likewise, detail 2 here shows a condition where the new pavement might meet up to some existing pavement that is not going to be removed. So details give the contractor a much finer instructions on what to do, maybe if different conditions are encountered, or how to assemble something that has smaller dimensions than what's shown in the overall plan set. Also shown here, there are some frame and grate replacements that were going to happen on some catch basins. Give some detailed information about that, what's allowable, how to construct a speed hump. So this is not information that you would find on an overview or a plan view sheet. This requires a little finer detail at smaller scale. Also, there may be written portions in the plan set that that refer to how to construct something that's not given in a graphical representation, but is provided in a written form. In this case, this is again a pavement project. There's a sheet that has some written specifications on it. This is an older project. We don't use these types of asphalt mixes anymore, but you get the idea. There's certain types of asphalt that need to be used, and it can't just be any asphalt. It has to be based on a standard. In this case, the written portion of the details refers to the different asphalt mixes that are allowable for the different layers, and they are based on portions of the NJDOT standard specifications. This is a New Jersey jobs. This is New Jersey specifications. Different states will refer to different specifications within that state. And just some other materials, what other materials that are typically encountered on a pavement project, and what the standard for those are. Also, it's a little small on this page, but also there are instructions that refer to what to do when you are excavating or backfilling. You don't just throw some dirt in the hole and hope for the best. If you are backfilling, there's certain a standard for what type of material can be used, and how it needs to be compacted when you're backfilling, so that when the project is done, you don't end up with soil consolidation and sinking along the areas that you repaired. So there are also written directions or details, if you will, that can often be found in both architectural sets. Architectural sets might, they're not going to refer to pavement, but they might refer to what can flashing material be made out of, or how, if you're using concrete, what are the standards for that concrete mix that you're using? And how should the concrete be finished if it's exposed or if it's buried? So in conjunction with graphical details, these written specifications within the plan set are also important information for the contractor. This one is a detail for roofing. So sometimes included in they say a photo speaks 1,000 words, sometimes including just a photo showing the contractor, look, these are 2 separate types of chimneys that are encountered on the site, and here's how you can tell the difference. One is brick clad, one is siding clad on this particular building. Also, there's a detail here, detail 4 on the bottom left hand, detail that shows where the brick chimney passes through the roof portion of the structure, how that's to be flashed and how that's to be layered and finished so that you don't end up with water entering the building. Up in the upper right, there's the chimney cap detail that shows where the cap is to be installed, and also there's that isometric view again of what that cap looks like and how it should be dimensioned and the materials that should be used. Again, here's some more roofing details that show us where a vent comes through the roof and how that vent should be finished so that you don't end up with water infiltration. In the upper left-hand corner, it shows where the roof, a detail for where the roof comes down along the side of a building and where the vinyl siding comes down, how that should be flashed so that if you get a driving rain or water running down the roof along that siding, how to layer that flashing and the building wrap so that you don't end up with water inside of your building. So as you can see, these details are very important for showing lapping of different materials so that you get a watertight construction. Again, here's some siding details. This one shows in particular the way to wrap the flashing at the windows. So this is information from the manufacturer that's shown right in the detail plan set, how the order and materials for the wrapping of the flashing at the windows and how that's to be done. So again, as you can see, as we progress through this plan set, the information becomes more and more granular. So these specific area details are very important to the construction of the project. So sometimes the details require a little bit of a diagram showing what each area represents. So this particular one is for it's an elevation detail key, which shows if you're in this area of the building and you're installing vinyl siding, how should that vinyl siding be finished around a window or around a door per se. And then you'll see those little bubbles, those call outs tell you what number detail and on what sheet to refer to see how that vinyl siding should be finished in that location. Again, some photo representation of different, how to identify the different areas of the siding components. Here's those material specifications again. As you recall with the pavement, there were different written specifications that called out the materials to be used and the standards for those materials to be used for the asphalt, or whether you're doing a specific construction activity like backfilling. This one is specific to siding, and as you can see, it tells you the different types of components and what should be used for each component. You'll see the installation type. It's about 4 items down under material specifications. It talks about what type of installation. This is a tear off. So it's indicating to the contractor that you need to take off what's there, and it tells you where to take it down to the wall sheathing. So they're taking everything off. It tells the contractor you're taking off the siding, you're taking off the building paper, you're taking out any flashing that's present there before you put anything back. And then it gives material specifications for what's being put back and generally what types of materials to use. This one is, these details are for a parking garage. And these have different, again, photo representation of different conditions that are going to be dealt with in the details. So you'll see at the top there, it shows some examples of some expansion joints, expansion joint locations, their conditions, and then on the right side of the sheet there, you see a table that refers to what detail in the plan set to refer to remediate those specific locations. So here we see on the top row, there's expansion joints. The next one down is areas that of structural components that require repair or replacement. The third one down is where the That steel sits in pockets, in the beam pockets on the masonry walls on the sides of the parking garage. And then the bottom one looks like some components that aren't necessarily going to be replaced, but need some reinforcement work. So that table on the upper right hand corner tells the contractor where to look for those details for what the designer wants done in these specific locations. Again, here's one of those overview plan sheets. So this overview plan sheet shows the layout, the overall plan view layout of the garage, but it also indicates where each of those types of repairs need to take place. So you have the locations of the repairs in this particular plan view, but then you have more detailed information about the types of conditions that are being addressed and where to locate those details within the plan set. And here are those details. And as you can see, it's much more detailed information about how to repair or replace in each of those conditions than you would see in either the plan view or any of the other portions of the plan set. So again, the blueprints are part of a larger package that conveys information to the contractor. So you typically a bid package will include the blueprints or the design plans and a written set of specifications along with a bid form, typically called the project manual. So in the project manual, there's also additional information that supplements what's in the blueprints. It describes the project, gives a narrative description of the project, may give the contractor information on when bids are due, who to contact if they would like to visit the site. Sometimes there are pre-bid meetings, not always. But sometimes the contractor is invited to pre-bid meeting. It might be either on an individual basis by appointment, or there might be a specific day where the property manager has arranged a walkthrough for all bidding contractors. The contractor might have bids. They may have who should they contact when they have technical questions about what's being presented in the blueprints. Oftentimes the project manual will specify that if you have a technical question, you need to contact the engineer. If you would like to visit the site, you can contact, say, the property manager or another representative of the community. So depending upon what type of question the contractor has, the project manual will give them information on who to contact. And then when bids are submitted, the project manual will give information on what format the bids need to be submitted in. There is, in our project manuals, there is a bid form that is a detailed bid form that the contractor needs to complete and return to us. So there may be a bid form that needs to be returned to us in electronic form by a certain date. All that information is in the project manual. So the bid form will often, or always does actually, give information on how we want the contractors to present their pricing information, whether it's a lump sum or whether it's in square feet or per each. If they're replacing items, you know, say 10 streetlights are going to be replaced, that would be per each. Each of the streetlights, how much do they cost to replace? So the bid form is very important in making sure that all the contractors are bidding on the same type of components and in the same way, whether it's lump sum or per each or square yard. In this way, it's easier to compare between contractors what the prices are. And we've given other webinars where I've stated this as well. We always strongly recommend that you have specifications prepared for more larger or complex projects, because if you put those projects out to bid to several contractors without specifications or without an organized way of bidding, you'll often get back bids from those contractors that can't be compared to each other because they all have different scopes of work. They all have different formats for their pricing. So it becomes very difficult to look to see which contractor is the lowest bid, the highest bid. you know, how their extras in the contract might be structured that could affect the overall cost of the project. So when you put together an organized set of specifications and a project manual and make that your bid package, it's much easier to compare the information you're receiving back. So in summary, what have we learned? I hope I've conveyed the information clearly enough, that the blueprints are a set of plans that are part of a larger bid package that convey information from the very broad down to the very detailed to a contractor on how to construct a project and what materials to use. Hopefully I've conveyed some information on how to navigate through the plan set using the title sheet as a guide with the sheet listing, and then how the plans progress through plan view and section views and details, and to get more and more refined information or more detailed information on how the building is constructed, or how the contractor should be constructing it. So it's just a way of presenting an organized set of information, and hopefully I've shown you how to navigate through that effectively. Are there any questions on the presentation, or any information I can give you more detail on? You can type in the chat or turn on your. Okay. All right. Well, if you have any questions, again, our password for today, our super secret code word was solstice. You can contact Jody Smallwood if you've attended this webinar for any kind of credit. Jody's email is there below her name. If you have any other technical questions, please feel free to contact me or contact our general mailbox at the office. We'll be more than happy to speak with you. Other than that, have a wonderful day. And I'm sure Jody will be letting you know of other upcoming webinars that we have planned in the coming months ahead. Have a wonderful day. Oh, I have a question here. One of the call outs showed a split entry. What did the bottom mean? The bottom is the sheet number that you're looking for. The top is the detail number. The bottom number is the sheet number.